Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for tuning in. It's your 38th favorite dad in the family community, Papa West, Jacob West, here for another exciting episode of TMG Takes the Field, weekly show where we talk about sports, football. I did. We'll talk about baseball a little bit. I did find out, I believe, MVPs. It sounds like Aaron Judge and then Shohei Ohtani. I could be wrong, but it sounded like they won the MVPs. So if so, congratulations. Big snub to Cal Raleigh, catcher of the Mariners, who should have won. But hey, there's a reason I don't have a vote. But no, we will go ahead and start talking about football, mainly college football right now, as we wait for our good Fred Tato to come in. Had a pretty good week last week. A lot of fun games. This is about to go into the last week of college football this week. So I'll go ahead and break down how last week ended. We did have games on Saturday and just on Saturday that we talk about. TCU upset Houston 17-14. Ohio State beat Rutgers 42-9. Texas A&M beat Samford 48-0. Georgia beat Charlotte 35-3. Oregon beat USC 42-27. Oklahoma beat Missouri 17-6. Notre Dame beat Syracuse 70-7. Oh my goodness. If you did not watch that game, Notre Dame was up 21-0 before their offense even set foot on the field. At one point, it was 35-0. Notre Dame had 5 offensive plays. But again, 21-0 before the offense snapped the ball. It's crazy. Alabama beat Eastern Illinois 56-0. BYU beat Cincinnati 26-14. Utah beat Kansas State 51-47. Miami beat Virginia Tech 34-17. Vanderbilt beat Kentucky 45-17. Pitt upset Georgia Tech 42-28. Texas beat Arkansas 52-37. Michigan beat Maryland 45-20. Tennessee beat Florida 31-11. Wisconsin upset Illinois 27-10. Tulane beat Temple 37-13. Arizona beat Colorado 42-17. So we do have some shakeups in the rankings. We have at 25 Arizona, 24 Tulane, 23 Georgia Tech, 22 Pitt, 21 SMU, 20 Arizona State, 19 Tennessee, 18 Virginia, 17 USC, 16 Texas, 15 Michigan, 14 Vanderbilt, 13 Utah, 12 Miami, 11 BYU, 10 Alabama, 9 Notre Dame, 8 Oklahoma, 7 Ole Miss, 6 Oregon, 5 Texas Tech, 4 Georgia, 3 Texas A&M. And it's been the same as it's been all season. Indiana at number 2 and Ohio State at number 1. Then, guys, it's the final week of the regular season of college football. Huge implications as far as conference championships, which we will go over tonight. I'll go over every single scenario, what each team has to do to get there. But let's start off with what we see this upcoming weekend. We have some games on Friday. Ole Miss is traveling to Mississippi State in the Egg Bowl. Utah's traveling to Kansas. We have what's called good old-fashioned American hate, I think is the actual name of this rivalry game. Georgia versus Georgia Tech. Indiana's traveling to Purdue. We do have a rivalry that outside of last year we haven't seen in a while. Texas A&M traveling to Austin to take on Texas. And then we have Arizona taking on Arizona State. So some great rivalry games there. And then this Saturday, we have the game, Ohio State traveling to Ann Arbor to take on Michigan. Texas Tech traveling to West Virginia. Miami is taking on Pitt in ranked versus ranked. BYU is hosting UCF. Oregon's traveling to Washington. Oklahoma has LSU. Vanderbilt versus Tennessee in ranked versus ranked. Virginia has Virginia Tech. Alabama's traveling to Auburn in the Iron Bowl. USC has UCLA. Charlotte's traveling to Tulane. SMU is traveling to California. Notre Dame is traveling to Stanford. Those are our games. And again, we have conference championship games that are next week. So some teams, I say that a couple teams have locked their ticket in. Some right there win and they are in. Some need some help. So we'll go ahead and talk about those. The first one we will bring up is going to be the SEC. Right now, the way the SEC sits is you have four teams in contention. We have Texas A&M at number 1. They are 7-0 in SEC play. Georgia is at 7-1. Ole Miss is at 6-1, and Alabama is also at 6-1. Team with the easiest road is Texas A&M. It's simple. They win, they are in. But they do also have they can lose, and they need Alabama and Ole Miss to lose. So if they lose and then Alabama and Ole Miss both lose, they're still in. But again, a win gets them in. Next, we have Alabama. Alabama, if they win, they're in. However, if they lose, looks like they have no shot in getting in. Georgia right now in second place. They are in if Alabama or Texas A&M lose. And then we do also have Ole Miss. They win, but then they also need Texas A&M to lose and Alabama to lose. Again, we get the top 2 teams to get into this championship game. Next, we're going to be traveling up to the Big Ten. Big Ten, we have technically in first place is Indiana, 8-0 in conference play. Ohio State's at second, also at 8-0. Then we also have Oregon and Michigan in the mix, both at 7-1 in conference play. Indiana and Ohio State have the same road. They win, they're in. With Indiana, if Ohio State loses, regardless of the outcome of their game, they're in. Ohio State, if they lose, they need both Indiana and Oregon to lose, or else they'll miss it. Oregon needs a win and Ohio State to lose. And then Michigan needs a win and either Indiana or Oregon to lose. And they will make it in. The Big 12. This one's not as tight. I say that we still have 4 teams in. So we have Texas Tech at 7-1, BYU at 7-1. And then we also have Utah and Arizona State at 6-2. With this one, Texas Tech clinches if they win or Arizona State loses. BYU clinches with a win or an Arizona State loss, or Texas Tech and Arizona State losing, or Arizona State winning and Texas Tech losing. Arizona State clinches a playoff or clinches a spot in the championship game with a win and a BYU loss, or if they win and Texas Tech and Utah both lose. And then Utah, they need to win. They need Texas Tech to lose. And then they need BYU and Arizona State both to win for them to get a chance. So theirs is a little more difficult to get in. Probably the most fun one, the ACC. The reason I say it is because there's a chance for Duke to win, or for Duke to make it. And if Duke makes the conference championship game and wins, there's a possibility we don't see an ACC team in the college football playoffs. So with the ACC, we have Virginia, Pittsburgh, and SMU all tied in first place with 6-1. Georgia Tech's at 6-2. Miami and Duke both are at 5-2. So with Virginia, they're going to be the first team we talk about. They win, they're in. They can also get in with a loss, but they need SMU and Pittsburgh to lose, and then they need North Carolina to win. SMU, exact same spot. They win and they're in. Other ways they could get in is with a Pittsburgh and Duke loss, but then they would also need Virginia and North Carolina to win. They could also do a Pittsburgh Duke loss. Virginia wins. North Carolina State wins. Boston College wins, and they finish higher than Georgia Tech and Miami in the sports source analytic ranking. Crazy. Or Pittsburgh loses, Duke loses, Virginia loses, North Carolina wins, Boston College wins, and again, they finish higher than Georgia Tech and Miami in the sports source analytic ranking. With Pittsburgh, they have to win, but if they win and Virginia loses, or if they win and SMU loses, they're in. With Duke, they have to win. They either win and then both Pittsburgh and SMU lose. They win and both Pittsburgh, Virginia lose, and then North Carolina wins. Or Pittsburgh, Virginia lose, North Carolina State wins, and they finish higher than Miami. With Miami, again, they're a must-win team. Win and Virginia lose, Duke lose, and SMU wins. They win, SMU, Duke, Virginia lose, and North Carolina State wins. They win, SMU, Duke, Virginia lose, and then North Carolina and Syracuse win. They win, SMU, Duke, Virginia lose, North Carolina wins, Boston College wins, and they finish higher than Georgia Tech and SMU in the analytic ranking. They win, SMU, Duke lose, Virginia wins, North Carolina State wins, and Syracuse wins. They win, SMU, Duke both lose, Virginia, North Carolina State, and Boston College win. Then they still have to finish higher in rankings. They win, SMU loses, Duke wins, Virginia loses, and North Carolina State wins. Or if they win, SMU wins, Duke wins, Virginia loses, North Carolina State wins, then they have to finish higher than Duke in rankings. Georgia Tech, this is the only team that their game doesn't really matter. Again, they are playing Georgia, which is not an ACC team. So they can win, they can lose, it does not matter. But they need Pittsburgh to win, Virginia, and SMU to lose. They need Miami to win, SMU, Duke, and Virginia to lose, and then North Carolina State gets the win. Or they can also have Miami win, SMU, Duke, Virginia lose, North Carolina and Boston College both win. Then they have to finish higher in rankings. Or Miami wins, SMU and Duke lose, Virginia wins, North Carolina State wins, and Boston College wins. And then again, they need to finish higher than Miami and SMU in rankings to get there. So the ACC is a little more difficult, a little more tied up. Again, just a couple teams, they win and they're in, so they better do their part and win. We're going to be talking about every conference because I have the list for every conference. Next, we have the MAC, the Middle American Conference. Right now, we have a good amount of teams in. Western Michigan is in the lead at 7-1. Then Ohio, Toledo, Central Michigan, and the Miami of Ohio are all right there at 5-2. I don't think Buffalo has a chance. No, Buffalo doesn't have a chance. They're barely out. They are currently sitting at 4-3. So with the MAC, Western Michigan, again, they're in the win. They win, they're in. Or Ohio wins. Or Miami of Ohio loses, and they are in. With Toledo, and most of these teams are playing each other. So I think that's kind of what's going on. Why doesn't say any of those teams lose? Next, we have Toledo. If they win and then Western Michigan wins, or if they win and Miami of Ohio loses, they are in. Miami of Ohio clinches with a win and a Western Michigan loss, or a win and a Central Michigan win. Ohio clinches with a win and Northern Illinois win. Miami of Ohio losing and Central Michigan winning. And then they have to beat Central Michigan in the team rating score metric. And then with Central Michigan, they have to win. They have to have Ohio lose and Miami of Ohio lose. They have to win, and then they have to have Western Michigan lose, Ohio lose, and Miami of Ohio win. They have to win. Kent State wins, and then Miami of Ohio loses. And then they have to win. Kent State loses, Miami of Ohio loses, and then they have to beat Ohio in the ranking. Next, we have the American. 5 teams still in this one. North Texas, Tulane, and Navy all at 6-1. Then you have South Florida and ECU, USF. No, USF and ECU, Eastern Carolina, both at 5-2. So Tulane wins or a loss by either North Texas or Navy if it has the highest composite computer average, or losses by both North Texas and Navy. North Texas clinches a spot with a win, or they could have losses by either Tulane or Navy. Again, with kind of some analytics going in there. Navy, they have to win, and either Tulane or North Texas lose. South Florida, they have to win, and then one of the three ahead of them has to lose. Same with Eastern Carolina. They have to win, and then one of the three ahead, Tulane, North Texas, and Navy. So really, Tulane and North Texas have the best shot. Navy needs a little help. USF and ECU need a lot of help. All right, two more. We have the Mountain West. Again, a couple teams in there. South Dakota State, Boise State, New Mexico, UNLV are all the teams that are in there. San Diego State right now in the lead. They win, they're in. They could also have lose, and then they need losses by Boise State and UNLV. Boise State needs to win, and San Diego State to win. If UNLV lost and New Mexico lost, they have to finish with the top computer metric among the 5 and 3 teams. UNLV clinches a spot with a win and a Boise State loss and a New Mexico loss, or a win and a San Diego State loss, and then some metric stuff. Or they can have Boise State lose and New Mexico lose, again with help from analytics. New Mexico clinches a spot with a win and a Boise State loss, or a win, and if they finish in the top 2 of the metrics. Or Boise State loses and UNLV loses, and then again some help with the metrics. Fresno State, the only chance they have is a win. Boise State, New Mexico, and UNLV loss, and then a finish with the top 2 metrics. Hawaii with the win, Boise State, New Mexico, and UNLV loss, and then metrics. And then Utah State win, and then the New Mexico and UNLV loss as they are playing Boise State. And then some luck with metrics. And then the final, we have Conference USA. Right now, Conference USA, we have Jacksonville State, Kennesaw State, and Western Kentucky in the lead at 6-1. Missouri State also in the mix at 5-2. Jacksonville State needs a win or a Kennesaw State loss. Western Kentucky needs a win or a Kennesaw State loss. And Kennesaw State needs a win or a Western Kentucky loss. They might be asking yourself, how are all 3 of these teams in a win and you're in? Well, it's simple. Jacksonville State is playing Western Kentucky. So the winner of that game is in. The loser of that game needs Kennesaw State to lose, which we might as well say who Kennesaw State's playing, which means Southern Missouri, I'm sorry, you're not actually in it. I gave you a little bit of hope. Kennesaw State is playing Liberty in Liberty. So you never know how that one will go. But those are all of the scenarios to get into the conference championship games of each conference in college football. Again, the top 5 ranked conference champs are in the playoffs, the college football playoffs, and then they go pick rankings after that with every other team. And like we saw last year with SMU, just because you lose in the conference championship doesn't mean you're out of the conference championship. Never say never. There's always a chance that you get selected in the top 12 teams. But still, don't leave room for questions. You want to get there without hesitation. Next, we're going to move on to the NFL. And what a week it was last week. I'm very upset with one of those games. Thursday night, we had a very interesting game. The Texans defended their home against the Bills, getting the win 23-19. Josh Allen was sacked like 8 times, I believe. Could not do anything. The Texans defense was great. Then we had on Sunday, we had for the 1 o'clock games, the Chiefs getting the win against Indianapolis, 23-20 in overtime. Bears beat the Steelers 31-28. Patriots beat the Bengals 26-20. Ravens beat the Jets 23-10. Seahawks beat the Titans 30-24. Packers beat the Vikings 23-6. Lions beat the Giants 34-27. Jags beat the Cardinals 27-24. Browns beat the Raiders 24-10. Falcons beat the Saints 24-10. I love how this has been multiple times where games right after another finish with the exact same score. So again, Falcons get the win 24-10. Cowboys beat the Eagles 24-21. Rams beat the Buccaneers 34-7 on that Sunday night game. And then Monday night, we did have the 49ers beating the Panthers 20-9. So a lot of fun games, and we'll just go ahead and talk about standings. Obviously, with this being us going into week 13, just a couple more weeks left. 6 more weeks before we get into the playoffs. So no team has secured their spot in the playoffs yet, but some teams are really close. I will say we have had our first elimination. The New York Giants are eliminated from playoff contention. They will not be playing in the playoffs this year. 0% chance that happens. Again, firing Daboll last week, also firing their defensive coordinator after this last loss. So not looking good for the Giants. Who knows? They might turn around, though. Jameis was electric last week. But in the AFC, we have in the East, New England is currently in the lead at 10-2, Buffalo at 7-4, Miami at 4-7, and then the Jets at 2-9. In the North, the Ravens are officially in the lead, number 1 in that, at 6-5. Pittsburgh tied with them, also at 6-5. Then you have Cincinnati and Cleveland both at 3-8. We have the South. The Colts are at 8-3. The Jags at 7-4. Houston's at 6-5. And Tennessee is at 1-10. We have the West. Denver's in the lead at 9-2. Chargers at 7-4. Kansas City's at 6-5. And then the Raiders are at 2-9. With the NFC, again with the East, Giants are eliminated at 2-10. Commanders are at 3-8. I just feel like going backwards on this one. The Cowboys 5-5 and 1. 5-5. They tied because the Packers don't play to win. And then we do have the Eagles, regardless of last week, still leading that division at 8-3. We have the NFC North, the Bears 8-3, the Packers 7-3-1. You play to win the game, guys. The Lions at 7-4, the Vikings at 4-7. Then we have the South. Buccaneers are at 6-5. Panthers are at 6-6. Falcons at 4-7. Saints at 2-9. Then we have the West. Rams at 9-2. Seahawks at 8-3. 49ers at 8-4. And then the Cardinals at 3-8. So again, a lot of close matchups coming in on these last couple games, last 6 weeks of the season. Gonna be a tight one in some. All right, I'm getting really close to you. I'm trying to grab my notebook, but I was starting to lose some stuff. With last week's performance, I finished the week at 11-3, Tato at 9-5. In our 2 differences, again, the Packers-Vikings game and then the Browns-Raiders games were our 2 differences. I got both right. So I have tried to slow the bleeding a little bit. Tato is still in the lead at 115-63 versus my 104-74. So it is still a 9-game lead he's holding. I'm saying we'll see how well I can come back as we go into our predictions for the upcoming week of the NFL season. Week number 13. I had to double check. I was pretty sure, but you know me. Starting off, we have our Thanksgiving games. 3 games to fill our day. We're going to fill our belly with food. The NFL is going to fill us up with some football. At first, we have the Packers traveling to Detroit to take on the Lions. Lions are a 3-point favorite. Again, this is a rematch from week 1 where the Packers did come away with the win. I'm going to go first here. Obviously, I'm going to go first. Wow, Papa. As Tato is not here yet. Frank Ragnow is returning to the Lions. Just made that official today. Does that mean he is playing? I doubt it. But crazier things have happened. Regardless, though, I do like the Lions. They are coming off that exciting win against the Giants. Forgot who they played for a second. Dan Campbell has not been doing great since taking over for offensive play calling. I think this is the game where he turns it around. Both teams pretty healthy. Again, both teams coming off of short weeks, though. So I think it's going to be exciting. Barely by the slimmest of margins. Probably a 3-point game. I have the Lions. Next, we have the Chiefs traveling to Dallas to take on the Cowboys. Chiefs are a 3-point favorite. Both teams had pretty good comebacks. Colts obviously getting that crazy comeback to force overtime and then getting the win on the Butker kick. Dallas didn't need overtime. They were down 21-0, 24 unanswered points to get the win against Philadelphia. It just hurts saying that. It hurts so much that I can't even say the Cowboys win. I think the Chiefs are going to win. I do think the Chiefs are not fully turning it around, but it's a slow burn to get it fully turned around. But I think that slow burn kicks up a couple notches. Thanksgiving afternoon. Evening. And then we have the Bengals traveling to Baltimore to take on the Ravens. Ravens coming back. It's crazy. For a couple weeks ago, we thought they were dead in the water. They're come back in top of the North standings. That being said, though, they haven't played great. They didn't really do that well against the Jets last week. Joe Burrow might be making his return this week. There's a lot of reports. He was a full participant in practice, but they did keep him benched Sunday. A lot of people are thinking it's to keep him fresh against Baltimore. I don't know if that's exactly the case, but what I will say, exciting game, high-scoring affair. Ravens get the dub. Next, we have a Black Friday game, which is hysterical because it's Tato's team versus my team. And we can't watch it because we're going to be working because we both work retail. Bears at Eagles. Again, Eagles are upset. They are mad. Bears have been having some pretty good luck. I believe they're on a 4-game win streak. Right now, they have the lead in the NFC North. I just think the Eagles get the win, though. Turn it around as best as they can, but also that defense is going to do. They're going to turn back around. Reed Blankenship's supposed to play, which we need. I think we really make Caleb suffer. Make him rethink his life choices, and Eagles get the win on the backbone on their defense and get the sweep against the NFC North. I think both teams are undefeated against each other's divisions. I don't remember if the Bears have played the Giants yet. So that's interesting little side note there. Next, we have the Sunday games. The 49ers traveling to Cleveland to take on the Browns. 49ers are 4-point favorites. Again, getting the win against Carolina. It's not hard to beat Carolina. But Brock Purdy has not been looking super good since he's come back from injury. I believe he had 3 picks in this last game. And the Browns, Shedeur Sanders becoming the first Browns quarterback in a long time to win his first career start. Myles Garrett's just been playing electric. He is 6 sacks away from breaking the record held by Michael Strahan, 22.5 sacks in the season. He's going to do it, and I think he does it this week. This will be my 3rd time trying to say Myles Garrett's going to have a great game, and it's bitten me in the butt last 2 times. Hey, 3rd time's the charm. Browns get the win. Next, we have the Jaguars traveling to Tennessee to take on the Titans. Jags are a 6.5-point favorite. I like saying the whole, you want to know how the Titans play? Just ask Cam Ward. But it's true. Jaguars are starting to make a little comeback, trying to make that AFC South race a little more interesting. It's starting to get closer, having some issues. But I do think the Jags pretty handily beat the Titans, and I believe this will eliminate the Titans from playoff contention. Next, we're going to stay in the same division. The Texans traveling to the Colts. Colts are a 4.5-point favorite. I am very, very mixed on this one. I was going back and forth whenever I was making the picks here because the Texans have been playing great. And the crazy thing is they've been playing great without C.J. Stroud. Davis Mills has gotten them 3 straight wins. Colts have had 2 very hard-fought games. Week before, they played the Falcons in Berlin, I think. Had that next week off, and then they played the Chiefs last week. 2 straight games going to overtime. 1, they get the win. 1, they are not able to pull it out. I've been going back and forth, and I wrote down the Colts. Part of me is thinking I'm changing it, but no, stick with your gut, Papa. Colts get the win by 1. I'm calling it here. Texans cover. Colts win by 1. Next, we have the Saints traveling to Miami to take on the Dolphins. This one's not hard. Dolphins get the win. 2 toilet bowl games, but Tua is at least able to play competent games. Sometimes he plays horrible games. Next, we have the Rams traveling to Carolina to take on the Panthers. Rams are a 10.5-point favorite. Part of me is going back and forth on this one because the Panthers play good at home. But Panthers are without starting safety Trevon Moehrig, who is suspended due to some low blow attacks to Juwan Jennings in the Monday Night Football game last week. Sure, that's going to hurt him a lot. He's actually a pretty good safety. I really like him. Played at TCU. And then the Rams have just been way too good lately. I would hate to play them in the playoffs. Rams get the win. Next, we have the Cardinals traveling to Tampa Bay to take on the Buccaneers. Buccaneers are a 2.5-point favorites. If you watched the game last week, you would have saw Baker Mayfield leaving in the second half. He has an AC joint sprain. There's no fracture, no ligament damage, but he's still listed as questionable. Did not participate in practice today. Reports by me. I'm kidding, Adam Schefter. Adam Schefter for those reports. No, not a participant in practice this week, so still very up in the air. But the other downside is Buccaneers have slid quite a bit. 3-4 straight losses. Cardinals are in that spot too, where they've had a couple losses in a row. Hopefully, trying to turn something around. They're without Kyler Murray still. Jacoby Brissett still making the start there. Couple injuries there, but I think the Cardinals pull it out, get the upset, get the win. Not that it's really going to do anything for them. Buccaneers will turn around, though, here in a couple weeks. Now we have the 4 o'clock games. One game at 4:05. We have the Vikings traveling to Seattle to take on the Seahawks. Seahawks are a 10.5-point favorite, and this is Sam Darnold revenge. Vikings were like, no, we're going to go with our rookie, even though they could have franchise tagged him. They could have signed Darnold to a huge extension. Let's be honest here. Everyone's talking about they should have franchise tagged him. No, they should have just signed him. Multi-year deal. They should have. They didn't. Seahawks did, though, and it's really paying off for them. I do think this is going to be, as Jay Burns calls it, BTA. If you don't know, ask him. He'll tell you. Seahawks get the win. Then we have the 4:25 games. Raiders traveling to Los Angeles to take on the Chargers. Chargers are 8.5-point favorites. Raiders in the news this week because they did just let go of Chip Kelly, their offensive coordinator. See, smart franchises get rid of Chip Kelly before this first season's over. They don't let him ruin their franchise. I think this is a weird game because Chargers haven't been either play great or play horrible. They've been having a lot of injuries. But some of those injuries are starting to come back this week. I do think the Chargers get the win because it's the Raiders. Let's be honest here. That's 100% why. Next, we have the Bills traveling to Pittsburgh to take on the Steelers. Bills are a 3.5-point favorite. Again, Rodgers is questionable. Did not play last week. Mason Rudolph getting the start. I've been going back and forth on this one because if the Bills struggled against the Texans defense, they're going to be really struggling against TJ Watt and this Steelers defense. But one thing's true. Bills don't lose 2 games in a row. Give me the Bills. But again, it's going to be close. So I also believe Bills just signed Brandon Cooks. Don't think he's going to play, but they just signed him. So there's that. Sunday Night Football. We have the Broncos traveling to Landover, Maryland to take on the Commanders. Broncos are a 6-point favorite. This is another one where one team is looking to sweep a division. Broncos beat the Eagles. They beat the Giants and they beat the Cowboys earlier this year. They're going to get the sweep. They're going to beat the Commanders. That defense is too good. Again, still question marks on if Jaden comes and plays or if it's going to be Mariota. I think you got to play Mariota. Nick Bonito is going to eat whoever's in that quarterback alive. And you gotta protect Jaden Daniels, at least as he's coming off that injury. And then we have Monday Night Football, the Giants at Patriots. Patriots are a 7.5-point favorite. Patriots are going for 10 straight wins. Giants are looking to break a 4-game losing streak. Giants obviously having some questions at coach, both head coach and defensive coordinator, just recently being let go. Dayball last week, and then their defensive coordinator this previous week. Can't think of his name right now, guys. I'm sorry. This is where Papa goes crazy. Will Campbell did injure his knee. I don't remember exactly the injury, but he is on injured reserve. He is not coming back until January. So he is done for the rest of the regular season at least. Maybe going to come back for a playoff run. We'll see. And that defense for the Giants, that defensive line has been crazy. I think they've been playing really good lately. They almost beat the Lions. I think Jameis gets the dub. I think Jameis cooks. I think that defense cooks. And it's going to make Drake May look bad. You heard it here first, guys. Giants beat the Patriots Monday Night Football. But hey, those are my picks. Tell me, what are your picks? Throw in the comments who your survivor pick is, the team guaranteed to get the win. And everybody, enjoy Thanksgiving tomorrow. Be great football. Depending on who you're with, great food. I don't know who you're eating with. I know I'm going to have great food. But hey, Y'all have a good one. Make smart choices. Or don't. I don't care. I'm not your dad. But I could be your papa.